Let me welcome you guys. So I am live on YouTube with you guys, but I'm so flipping excited today. I'll tell you for a couple of reasons because today we're diving into the spheres of the brain. It's more of a biological neuroscience and how the brain works for you. And I want to be able to share with you, the reason why a lot of people have defaulted their brain into a success mode and they continue to win regardless what. And quite a number of people still are trying to figure out exactly how all of this works. So I'm going to bring this to your attention in a way you're going to like. So let me welcome you as you guys join me. It's live today. But I really want you to take a notepad and a pen so that we can go through this journey together. I promise you, you're going to flip and love this. So I'm going to get right into it, okay? I will get right into it with you guys. So I want to talk about how you can make your brain work for you, okay? How do you make your brain actually work? Let me say that again one more time. How do you make your brain really work for you? So have you ever wondered why some habits, for example, sticks, why others kind of like slip away? No matter how hard you try, imagine you're using your brain's power to break free from bad habits. Like consistently you make choices that lead to success, or better still, you're one of those people that you're making choices that lead to failure, but you don't know why. You see, a guy by the name Peter Hollins, he explores the science. Dr. Adon, it's so nice to see you here. Very nice to see you, Doctor. I'll see you Thursday too on the mentorship program. But you see, Peter Hollins explored the science of habit formation and the brain's remarkable ability to change and to rewrite itself over a period of time through what we call learning and experience. You see, it's called neuroplasticity. He combines the knowledge from psychology, from neuroscience, and he give you like practical tips on exactly how for you to change your habits, improving your decisions, and shaping the life that you want. So this way, you're doing things with the laws of intention. The idea here is for you to trust the process, because if you trust the process, you're going to win. You see, some of the key ideas I need to be very familiar with here. I need to understand how habits form and change. How does habits form? By the way, thank you for the like also. How does the habits form? How do you change habit? How do you use your brain's neuroplasticity to develop good habits, for example? Maybe you want to make more money, you want to improve your life, you want to be spiritually sound. How can you actually default your brain for that? How can you replace bad habits with ones that support your goals? All of us have bad habits, but how can you replace that? You see, whether you want to quit smoking, for example, or you want to start exercising regularly, or maybe you want to stop a negative self-talk, which is a paralysis by itself, I'm going to put you on a journey today that's going to allow you, with your pen and paper ready to write, it's going to allow you to reshape the way you think. Because you see, new goals don't deliver new results. New lifestyles do. So as a result, I want you now to get ready as we get into how to form new habits. You see, to form new habits, we often think about habits as just things that we do. Like trying to stop bad ones and start good ones by forcing ourselves to do new things. Many believe that their habits don't stick because they aren't dedicated enough. But guys, habits are created by internal brain processes. Let me repeat that again. Habits are actually created by internal brain processes. You see, your mental shortcuts that help us to deal with familiar sensations, or even situations. That mental shortcut forms your habits. We have habits mainly to save time and energy because of the way the brain is wired. If we can do something without thinking, we can focus on more important things. So the brain has a way of working, and I want you guys to think about this. Go back to human beings. The first Homo sapiens walked the surface of the earth in East Africa in a country called Tanzania. And it was all about what? The brain was wired for something we call survival. So it was all about survivability. Survivability in this case, it's how do I preserve myself from the wild animals in the jungle coming after me. So the brain was wired more to survive more than anything else. So it was all preservation. So the brain will save energy. It will conserve energy, and it will allow you to be, it will only come on a needs basis when you actually have to think hard. That's when it will come active for you. You realize that default is still there today, even though you're no longer in the jungle. You are not in a fancy home, you're driving your fancy cars, you have the refrigerator, you have the food, but yet the brain itself still keeps its originality. But through neuroplasticity, the elastication of the brain, you can begin to see dramatic changes that is taking place, in terms of the brain formation. So let's get into some part of this, okay? You say, let's look at three well-known, habit loop to better understand how our habits actually form and how our habits actually stays. The first one is called trigger. Trigger initiates. So when you say trigger, right? Trigger initiates and it signals like habits. The signal tells our brain to switch into automatic mode. So your brain will switch automatically into a mode. The trigger will do that for you. So the first part of the loop is called trigger. By the way, every one of us have a trigger of some sort. You do, and I do. You hear somebody buy that just trigger that. That trigger is anger. That trigger is this. We all have triggers. The signal tells our brain to switch into automatic mode and perform a specific behavior. Triggers can be anything from a particular time of day, a place, and emotional stuff, environmental factors, but they are triggers. Number two is called routine. Routine. Routine is behavior itself. The action that we perform in response to a trigger is the most visible part of the habit loop. It's the most visible part because you can see that, because it's a behavior. Number three is called reward. Reward is a positive reinforcement we get from performing a routine. That's one is called reward. It's what makes the habit stick by satisfying a craving or a need. You see, the reward provides a positive feedback. The reward, puts you in a position to say, okay, I got to do this again. It satisfies the brain. So now you're beginning to understand the three parts of the loop, which is the trigger, the routine, and the reward. Now you got to start thinking, how does this really process? What's happening inside the brain? Well, there are two main parts of the brain that manage habits. Two. One is called the basal ganglia. That's the first one. That one stores and recalls habits, your emotions, your pattern recognition. That again is called the basal ganglia. The second one is called your prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex handles your conscious decision making, your planning, new behaviors, which are later handed over to the basal ganglia for automatic execution. So you have two parts that is taking place simultaneously. This is the inside of your brain, like what's really taking place inside of your brain. It's like you have a door that is closed. You open the door. Let me see what's inside this room. And inside the room is divided into two parts. One section and the other section. That's your brain, by the way. Okay? That's your brain. You see, the brain is not static. The brain is not fixed. The brain is dynamic. Brain cells communicate with each other. They're talking. And through a chemical that is known as neurotransmitters. That's how the brain are constantly talking. One of them is called dopamine. That is a neurotransmitter. It's a chemical which is released when you experience something that's very pleasurable. Like for example, you go running, you're an athlete, you won, you release dopamine, you're happy. Maybe you won a contest, my God, I'm number one, you're happy. Or maybe you just ran into a big stash of money that you work for. Oh my God, I'm so happy right now. Okay, you see, that is dopamine. Dopamine being released. It's pleasurable. It reinforces the behavior. Dopamine, it's something that a lot of people want to experience again and again and again. This process underpins the habit loop. It does. Where dopamine acts as the reward. You see, achieving big goals starts with small incremental changes. So, therefore, understanding how our habits are deeply intertwined with the brain's physical functions, it gives us the power to make real lasting changes. Because once you know how your brain really works, then you can start to make the appropriate changes for yourself. You see, why lasting change is tough? It's tough because your brain wants to go back to the default. So when you make a change, the change can become lasting. The value of building healthy habits seems to be completely undeniable. You know that, and I know that. Almost everyone can easily name the benefits of positive habits, like eating well, cutting back on screen time. So your social media, spend all the time on screen, cut back on that, or using even breathing techniques, for example, how to manage stress. You inhale, you pause, 3 seconds, you release, slow down your breathing mechanism, slow down your brain capacity, just slow down all kind of stuff. And it's safe. If you're unsure, we can quickly learn from others or find reliable information online. But you can learn this. We know that making good changes is very crucial. You know that, and I know that. But we also know that holding on to bad habits can lead to very negative consequences. So the question is then, why do we struggle to make changes? The truth is that just knowing the benefits of change does not bring about change itself. No, it doesn't. That means you just know, but you still have to apply. Many factors beyond logical influence, for example, your actions, motivations. There's a lot of things, even other forces like your subconscious, that are all part of the craving external pleasures or pressures, that can cause you to not make a permanent change. For example, someone may know that too much junk food is bad and unhealthy, but their desire for instant pleasure combined with stress or even attempting ads might overpower their logical thinking and they can still make a very poor dietary decision. Somebody, for example, you're married, but yet, you see someone you love, you want to have sex, but you know it's not healthy for your relationship, but you still do it anyway. Guess what that means? You're still being overpowered by the negative influence. So your brain, therefore, can have irrational barriers, the changing behavior that come from various sources. So let's categorize the different parts of your brain. Okay? Guys, I will tag everybody to be on this because if you know the internal working of your brain, you're good. You're good. Now you begin to control exactly what's going on with you. Let's talk about the first one, conscious. Your consciousness. You see, conscious obstacles are those we are aware of and can readily identify because they are conscious. This include low self-esteem, fear of failure, aversion to discomfort. For example, some might consciously avoid exercising because they feel embarrassed about going to the gym. Oh, everybody's going to be looking at me. They're going to judge me. They're going to look at my physical appearance. I'm fat right now. I don't want to be at the gym. They speak negatively to themselves. They fear the judgment of others, so they don't even go to the gym. You see what just happened right here? It's consciousness. Second is called subconscious. Obstacles are more profound and they are less noticeable. They include like ingrained beliefs, past trauma, for example, you have a past trauma that influence your behavior without conscious awareness. So that trauma stays with you. For example, okay, a person might a person might struggle with commitment in relationships. They struggle a lot. But why though? Because they watch their parents and they watch the marriage of their parents that wasn't good. So they carry that, it's a trauma. They carry that into their adulthood. So they struggle to actually commit in their own relationship. That's subconscious. Then you have what we call external obstacles. So you have the conscious, you have the subconscious, then you have the external obstacles. You see, external obstacles are environmental and social factors that can change. It can hinder your change. It include lacking resources, for example, unsupportive society, a society circle, your environment that don't support you, your dreams or your goals, or overwhelming obligations. Like, my God, this is too much for me. I can't handle this. For example, some may find it very hard to adopt a very healthy diet if you live in what we call a food desert, like with limited access to fresh produce. So if you're living in a place where you're hungry, you think you don't have a choice. You eat whatever is presented to you because you're starving. External factors. Alternatively, right? You might also struggle like quit smoking. Why you're struggling with that? If you are around everywhere where everybody around you smoke, then it's very hard to quit smoking. That's called external factor. See, you have to take time for self-reflection regularly to uncover, your hidden barriers and what's causing you, what's holding you back from using your brain to work for you. When you form new habits, it isn't just about your willpower. It's a complex process. It really is. It involves internal and external factors. It's not an easy journey, but with self reflection, with perseverance, you can navigate the challenges and make sustainable positive changes in your life. And this is exactly what the wealthy people, successful people, they have mastered. Successful people have mastered exactly how to go about this. Dr. Adonis, you said that this is interfering, the music at the background. All right, I will reduce the music at the background. Thank you for letting me know about that. Okay, so how do you build new habits? I just turned the music down. How do you build new habits? Let me explain some of the things that you can do that can help you tremendously. I just turned the music down. How to build new habits. You see, forming habits is something you have naturally done throughout your entire life. You have. But unfortunately, trying to create habits on purpose, it's not easy. The key idea is presented here is that you have to have in the law of intentionality work to your favor. For example, first, you have to identify the habit you want to implement. You have to do a personal self identity audit and say to yourself, what exactly do I want to improve? It's best to begin with a keystone. There's a Dr. Adonis. Can you still hear any music right now? I turned the music down. So let me know. I turned the music off, okay? You let me know if it's still picking up. Let me know, okay? Post, let me know if you're still getting the music. I turned it down completely. So, first, you have to identify the habit that you want to implement. It begins with what we call a keystone habit. Dr. Adonis, let me know, okay, about the music. A central one that influences other behaviors the most, typically is to create a triple effect, across your life. Keystone habits are crucial because keystone habits build momentum for other positive changes. Let me give you some example, okay? You have the physical, spiritual, intellectual. Let me start with the physical. Physical, you have to exercise. You have to diet. You have your sleep habits. Your sleep habit is your medicine. So you need sleep habits, that improve your health. The key thing about your sleep, ladies and gentlemen, people say about the time you go to sleep, yeah, but it's to have a routine when it comes to sleeping. So when it comes to sleeping, you can say, I'm going to bed at 10:30 or 11 o'clock every night, or at 12 o'clock every night, whatever it is. But you set your alarm. If you don't fall asleep, you go to bed at that set time. So you can establish a routine for yourself, and then you can develop your circadian rhythm, okay? Of course, in your sleep patterns. And then you put yourself in a position where you now have a routine. The brain will accept that. That's physical. Second is spiritual. Meditation or gratitude, like especially the practice of those, it bring about what we call mental clarity because you have to be constantly grateful. I am just for us to be on a call like this. I am grateful. Just for me to be able to say, I'm on my YouTube live with you guys this afternoon. I am grateful. Just for me to be in front of you today, I am grateful. For me to have, the mental aptitude to deliver a message the way I do, I am grateful. For me to be able to speak the language I speak to you today. So you have to constantly look for things that you're grateful for, that you're grateful about, excited about it because it will bring you mental clarity. The third one is called intellectual. Intellectual, learning new skills, For example, reading a book, or keep, reading a journal, or strengthening your cognitive skills, traveling, exposing yourself to the world. Like St. Augustine says, the world is like a book. If you never travel, it's like you only read one page of that book, if that's your life. So, obviously, I released the reels today, and I talk about the 15 places you must visit before you die. Very incredible. Either you're looking for the beaches, either you're looking for, the sunset, either you're looking for, the Great Wall of China, either you're looking for the Maldives, either you're looking for, the list just goes on and on. But some of the places, that you have to visit, you go to Egypt, for example, you go to the pyramid. Like some place you have to go to before you die, before you leave this planet Earth. Because when you travel the world, it's like you have an experience, that you read the book of planet Earth, as opposed to you dying in your locale, which means you only read one book, St. Augustine, okay? That's what he says. I believe him. I agree with him. So, in the world of intellectual, pick up a new skills, a new language, that you have to learn. Then you have the emotional. Emotional is asking for feedback and help, taking responsibility for your actions, attending therapy to support yourself. So you got the physical, the spiritual, the intellectual, and the emotional. So how do you create a new keystone habit? Let's say, for example, if you have a morning coffee routine that you have to have your coffee every morning, you use that as your cue to journal. After, filling your favorite coffee mug, sit down with your journal and start writing. That's a cue. What if, by the way, what I just mentioned to you right there, you know, it's a very simple trigger. It's a three-part trigger. Your routine, this is the habit itself. Spending 10 to 15 minutes journaling each morning, writing things down. Start with something simple and manageable to ensure consistency. I tell everybody you need what we call a gratitude book, where in the morning, the first thing you do is you give thanks, you give gratitude. When you give thanks and you give gratitude, you increase your vibrational energy and frequency. You activate your pineal gland, which literally connects your left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of your brain, and then you put yourself in a very good position to be at. Because that right there is actually a wealth triggering mechanism. Gratitude is so powerful. You need that. That could be part of your routine. You have a reward. So you plan a reward your brain that will enjoy, reinforcing, the habit. Like literally, allow a few moments to relax, enjoy your morning, berry smoothie, that kind of stuff. But you can also use the reward as a trigger for another habit, creating a chain of positive behaviors throughout your day. You see, when you regularly update your goals to ensure your actions align with your values, now you're winning. You are. So to make a keystone habit part of your identity, try the habit practice in the that you need. Like how do I let's explain this? You got to write this down. And you have to practice that habits regularly. You have to have a mental movie picture, actually, a mental movie rather than the picture itself, that you play to yourself, how to visualize. Like I was talking to my brokers today, and I said, did any of you visualize your day today? And surprisingly, every one of them said, yes, I visualized my day. It was powerful. They actually visualized what their day was going to look like. What I haven't told them, and I will the next time, is this. When the process of visualizing your day, if you find something that negative that show up in your visualization, you can actually correct it. So you can pause, you could go back to that. And so instead of that outcome, you switch it to your desired outcome, make it part of your visualization. You see, the brain does not know what is real from what is a pretense. The brain process the information as the same. That's the reason why when you visualize and then you materialize, then it looks like you've already been there before. It's almost like deja vu, like you've been there before. You have not been physically there, but your visualization have been there. Let me give you one secret of the universe. You are a co-creator. I said that one more time. You are a co-creator. So everything that you think of and things that you're manifesting is a pure reflection of your thinking. Because The whole entire universe is like a holograph. So the planet Earth itself is in a holographic nature. So what you bring to it is exactly what it brings back to you. This is the reason why the rich and the wealthy, they understand the secret. Mayweather will say, oh my God, I have so much money, I don't have to worry about doing anything for the rest of my life. He's right. So money keeps coming to him. But you might say, because, oh my God, he makes so much money, it's a no. Have you known anyone that's a millionaire that is also broke? That's correct. Because you have to keep saying things to yourself to not literally to manifest, and you are the abstract of the heavens. So you are able to manifest for yourself that which you desire. You say, don't break habits, just remake them. Now that you see how habits are formed, healthy habits, bad habits, we've gone through the science of the brain, how the brain works. By the way, you could go back and rewatch all this live YouTube again. There's a lot of information packed here. You say, once you get rid of the bad habit, now you understand how the mind works. You can then begin to rework, the destructive patterns into good ones, becoming more feasible so you understand how the brain builds itself, how the brain builds its habit. The first step is to identify the bad habits first, so that this way you can then recognize and bring them into your conscious mind. Here are some of the tips that may help. One, pay attention to how particular actions make you feel. If I do this, how does it make me feel? Is it harmful? How do I cope with the stress? Is it boredom or other emotional state? A habit may be detrimental if it constantly changes your mood and help you to, avoid, unpleasant emotions, but you need to recognize that. Secondly, bad habits often negatively affect your health. It affects your relationships. It affects your work. So a routine that harms any of this area is very unhealthy because it's going to affect everything. Number three, notice when you feel discomfort or conflict between your actions and your values. That's called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance can create and can signal the habit conflict with your goals and well-being. So because you see, your mind is restless when you psychologically have a cognitive dissonance. What's a cognitive dissonance? The word cognitive is from cognition. Cognition is to recognize, recognition, and then a dissonance is the opposite of consonance. So when something is a dissonance, that means it's no longer in alignment. So when you have a cognitive dissonance, it's almost like an opposite, of a recognition. AKA, when you have cognitive dissonance, you are restless. You have an internal discord. The internal discord is going to manifest itself in external forces. So your ability to be able to recognize that you are in the peril of cognitive dissonance is exactly your first step towards a solution. So in this case, when it comes to your habit and the keystone for your habit, you have to recognize, that which makes you feel uncomfortable because you need to bring it back in alignment. The actions that could help you to consciously see your wrong habits, through the keystone habit, and bring awareness back to your actions is by asking yourself the following questions. Number one, why is it I scroll through social media on the subway? Why are you scrolling through social media at the red light? Why are you scrolling through social media when you're laying down with your spouse on the bed at night when you're supposed to be having a good time? Why are you scrolling through social media? Pause and think about that. Two, how do you feel when you act like that? What does it really mean? What does it mean? Three, why are you doing this and what's the result? So you actually have to ask yourself what I call critical questions. And when you're asking yourself these critical questions, you're doing a personal audit on yourself. Because once you begin to be fully aware of your actions, then you can begin to see where the holes are for you to plug and for you to correct them. So let's talk about that for a moment. Okay, let's talk about that for. By the way, what I'm talking to you guys right now, it is so. I don't know how to best explain this, but it's so profound that if you take a minute to really understand what I'm sharing with you right here, you're going through the journey of your brain growth. Let's talk about the first one, positive reinforcement. You have to introduce something that's pleasurable to encourage desired behavior. You have to. For example, if you're trying to reduce your screen time on social media, reward yourself with a treat or a short break for every hour that you stay off of social media. Or negative reinforcement, for example, use something unpleasant to increase the likelihood of limiting the screen time. For example, set a loud timer that only stops when you've been off your screen for a set period. So it's very annoying to you. So it's like, damn, I gotta get off. Or punishment. Discourage excessive screen time by associating that with the discomfort or a loss. For example, if you exceed your screen time on social media limit, you could impose a rule that you lose an hour of leisure time the next day. It's called punishment. But rather than just collecting knowledge, apply it to real life situation. So the point is this, that you have to either have a positive reinforcement, a negative reinforcement, or a punishment. But you have to have something in place in order for you to have a keystone habit to stay with it. Techniques that can help you make your habits last. This technique will make your habit last. So how can you apply new habits? Become part, okay, of your, character. For example, there are several approaches to this. The first is to control your impulses. You have to. Those sudden urges to do or not to do something. Imagine, for example, okay, just imagine that suddenly in the middle of a crucial task, you want to check your phone, but you know it's going to interrupt your flow. But you need to control this urge. There are a few tricks to that. Number one is take a deep breath and count slowly to 10 to reduce the immediate need to act. Because when you watch your breathing, you slow down your breathing, you slow down, your heart rate, you slow down the processing of the brain, then guess what happened to you? You take less action, you're more in a state of where you can think better. So one is to take a deep breath. Second one, is for you to recognize what emotions drive you to weaken the urge. And the third is to write down the facts, clarify what's real, and separate emotions from facts. You see, you could use visualization to trick your brain into believing something like, for example, okay, this is powerful, your habit. Consider the example of using visualization, journaling habits, for example, A, to relax. For example, take a deep breath, close your eyes, relax. Or B, picture your environment and imagine that soft glow of a lamp, feel a pen in your hand, and then the smooth surface of a journal page is beneath your fingertips. 3, you could observe as a third person. Literally, see yourself sitting calmly, writing effortlessly in your journal. Just perceive yourself, I'm sitting right now, I'm writing, but you're a third person. Or observe in the first person. Feel the pen gliding across the page as you write yourself. You notice the flow of your thoughts turning into words because as you're thinking, the words are coming. And of course, back to reality. Take a few moments to return to the present. You see, when you adjust your environment to make the habit stick, the approach consists of 2 steps, physical and social. The physical, you analyze the physical aspects of your surrounding that influence your habits. And then the social, surround yourself with people who share or support your goals. I tell everybody, you want to go win, you have no room, for anything. When you're about to go win, either you're pursuing money, wealth, anything, all the messages around you have to be in alignment with that. It doesn't matter what the message is. In your car, the music you listen to, you're going to create wealth. In your house, the music you listen to, you're going to create wealth. Everywhere you go, everything that you're listening to is about creating wealth. Let me put it to you this way, okay? It's only when you understand that you have to be surrounded by everything wealth from everything you read to everything you hear to everything you see, then you force wealth to come your way. There's no other way. It has to come through for you. You see, no matter what method you use to make the habit stick, remember the three-step habit loop I talk about. Also you have to bear in mind that nothing works instantly. So you got to practice dedication. You got to practice consistency. You got to practice patience. All of them are required. Don't try to eat the whole pie at once. No, because you defeat yourself mentally. And that's coming from Peter Hollins. So with that said, folks, let me bring this to a close. Building a new habit consciously, whether it takes 66 days or longer, initially feels like pure hard work. It's like you're busting your ass, you're working really hard. Initially, it's tasking, but over a period of time, the routine becomes second nature as you improve. Your brain actually will default that to a default mechanism that it operates effortlessly, like a muscle memory. And if you stick to that, the dopamine continue to reinforce the effects for you. Eventually, what will happen? It becomes easier to continue the habit than to stop. Remember, when facing early setbacks, understand that early setbacks pave the way for lasting change and a more fulfilling life. You see, this, ladies and gentlemen, it's what's going to make the difference for you. So some things you could do as you wrap up watching this video today. This is a video I will watch with a group of people. If I were, it's a video that I will have other, maybe you and your buddies, you're sitting together. You got a pen and paper, you take a video like this, you pause, you rewind. You do it quickly. Let me look at ChatGPT. What does it say about this concept right here? Then you pause, then you rewind, you look. You see, when you mastermind this kind of video together, you can change the trajectory of your life, literally going forward in a matter of a short period of time. A couple of things you could try. Pair your new habit with an existing daily routine. For instance, practice gratitude during your morning activities every day. Get up, give gratitude. When I get up in the morning, the first thing I say, I'm so grateful right now. I'm awake. I'm grateful I'm healthy. I'm wealthy. I say a lot of things to myself. It's just part of my routine. 2, strengthen your habit through your sensory cues. Use sense, music, visuals. Align yourself with your goals, like I mentioned, pictures. Create vision board for yourself, but make it real. Make it seeable. The third thing is to keep a habit tracker or a journal to record everything that you're doing. Because, guys, anything that is measured grows. Doesn't matter what that is. Celebrate small victories, no matter what, and reinforce your commitment. If you like my content, I'd like you to share this video, with whom can benefit from this message the most. Unabashed. Feel free to share, talk about it. But let's continue to make the world a better place, because come knowledge, come application. Come application comes results, and you can start your heaven on earth by being empowered with the kind of books that you read, the audio you listen to, the YouTube that you watch, and the life you built for yourself. It's a reflection of the books you read, the meetings you attend, and the type of mentors you have in your life. So with that said, this is Dr. Kehinde Thomas. Thank you for joining me today. Like I say always, please work like it's up to you and pray like it's up to God. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys.